Amorim not convinced by Onana, and more news that Andre Onana could be set to leave Manchester United, as well as updates that Diogo Dalot could also leave. And they're two players that are still a good age, that are still worth a decent amount of money, which could fund a Manchester United transfer window. We obviously know that Manchester United want 10 plus players to leave. They're looking to raise over 100 million in the transfer window, and recent reports have said we want a winger/Y10 type player, and we've now had links to Kluivert, Trincao. We've also been linked to the likes of Semenya and Buemo, Cunha in the past. We've got updates on injuries, 4 players back in training, huge boost there, and apparently Sancho, Mr. Freedom Fighter, now wants out of Chelsea when he said that Chelsea was freedom. So very confusing there, but let's start with the stories on Andre Onana. So, it was said that Ruben Amorim's been unimpressed with the performances of Onana this season. Now, this isn't the first time that this has been reported. It said he's just not convinced by the goalkeeper. I spoke about this a little bit in my live stream yesterday and said, look, I can see Onana maybe being moved on, but if I was going to be totally honest, I still think it's a summer 2026 situation unless Saudi come in. We've got more updates on Saudi interest, so bear with me. But it was said that Royal Antwerp's Sen Lamens, if I've pronounced that right, is attracting the attention of giant European clubs and blah, 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 and the Premier League with his performances this season. And this was said by Ekron Kona of Court Offside. And that's another source sort of adding fuel to this. Onana could leave United, looking at other keepers. Again, spoke about this a lot yesterday. And what we spoke about yesterday was 2 stories coming out that Onana would be open to Saudi Arabia and that Onana was set to move to Saudi Arabia. We've now got further confirmation on this. The Saudi Pro League have shown interest in Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana. The Cameroon star would be open to moving to the Middle East this summer. So there's 2 sets of stories on Onana and his potential exit. And I just did a summary of what we know. So we've had about 10 reports in the last 2 weeks saying United open to selling Onana. Interestingly, the Muppeteers took right wing back out of Man United's priority targets for the summer and swapped it with goalkeeper about 2 weeks ago. So our 5 priorities is striker, left 10, pivot player, centre back, and then goalkeeper. But it was right wing back, it's now goalkeeper. And there's a lot of talk saying, could that just be a Bayendier replacement because he's set to go because he wants more minutes? Tom Heaton's obviously set to leave, so there will be a goalkeeper. But could it be an Onana replacement? Because recent supports suggest Saudi is set to go for Onana. Now, as of now, all sources indicate Onana wanting to stay at United, but now sources are coming out saying he'd be open to Saudi. The thing with Onana is I believe his book value is about £28 million, so we need around £30 million for him to avoid making a loss. And then in that case, we've still got to go and spend money to replace him. I think United are open to replacing Onana, but I don't think it's like a number 1, 2, or 3 priority. It's a let's see what happens. But I think if Saudi come in for Onana and Onana's open to Saudi, I think Manchester United are more than willing to let Onana go to Saudi because I don't think Amorim is convinced by Onana. So let's get into our stories on Dalot. Bayern Munich have set their sight on Diogo Dalot as one of the main options to strengthen the right-back position in the upcoming season. This is the third or fourth report, again, linking Dalot to Bayern. Not the most reliable source of information, but I think it's more that there's just more and more reports coming out saying the same thing. What has particularly impressed Bayern boss company, along with Real Madrid, is Dalot's consistency and adaptability, qualities that make him a target for top European clubs. Now, on Dalot, he's not had the best season, and I think his decision-making on the final third and his crossing isn't the best, but he's not a left wing-back, and he's also not a right wing-back. He's a right-back in a back four that's solid defensively, solid in build-up, solid technically, solid physically, just not the best attacking-minded right-back. And I think there's a lot of good clubs that would need a player like Dalot because he's solid. I think he's a good player. His value will decrease the longer he stays at United because he's not a wing-back. He was player of the season last year playing in a back four, and I think a lot of teams realise that Dalot's a good player and is a quality player there. So I think there will be interest in Dalot this summer. Again, not a priority for Manchester United to sell, but they might look at it and say, do we sell Dalot now while we can get good money for him? Because if he plays left wing back next season and isn't very good, his value is going to go down. And I think that's one of those where, look, Real Madrid are set to get Trent. That deal has been literally reported as basically done. But if Bayern Munich go in for Dalot, it could happen. So, what do we know in regards to Manchester United sales? Manchester United want to offload 10 plus senior players this summer to generate over 100 million in sales. Heaton, Lindelof, Eriksson, and Evans will all leave on a free. Casemiro, Anthony, Rashford, and Malacia are priorities to sell this summer, hence the loans, and Casemiro is more to get off the wage bill. Onana, Højlund, Mount could all go depending on fee, but are expected to stay as of now. Mount's got still, I think, around 30 million left on his book fee. Højlund's got 38 million left on his book fee and Onana 28 million. So we'd have to get bids above those prices to sell them to avoid making a loss because we're a little bit tight in PSR. So they're not expected to go, but they could all go if a big offer came in and they were open to leaving. I think Mount will stay because of his injuries. No one's going to give us the money we need. It was said offers for players like Dalot, Garnacho, and Maynard would be considered, but United are not focused on offloading them. But I think United could. I think if Bayern put in a 30-40 million bid for Dalot, I think United would definitely consider it because he's not he's a good player, but he's not a good player for the system. I think that's my stance on Dalot. Also, guys, if you are enjoying today's video, this is the 10-minute news roundup, so please do go ahead and subscribe down below if you're new, and feel free to hit that like button, as we now talk about how much could be saved from these players. Now, I actually showed this in another video, but here is your stats on the screen of how much we could save. So I'm just going to let you have a quick look at that. Pause that because I don't want the video to drag on. Continuing on. Manchester United plot 50 million euro raid on Bournemouth for Justin Kluivert. One thing I'm going to say is if an English player is targeting if an English club is targeting another player from an English club and both clubs use pounds, why are they still targeting? Why do they still write the transfer report in euros? Does that make sense? I feel like this is from One Football, People's Person, all of this. But say £44 million or whatever 50 million euros is. I feel like if you're dealing with a club outside of England, yeah, euros. But both clubs use pounds. So I don't know why there's always talk about the deal being in euros. Anyway, according to Court Offside, Manchester United are interested in Kluivert, who they've been monitoring for some time. However, they may face competition from Liverpool and Newcastle. Kluivert could cost around £45 million. I changed that to pounds, and is on United's shortlist along with Kenan Yildiz and Xavi Simons. Ineos will need to prioritise targets this summer, especially with Amorim pushing for an elite striker. And Lutko's also confirmed on Sunday we're in for another winger on Y10. We know this window United are in for someone that can play on the wing / Y10, but the priority is a striker. I always think you get Jonathan David striker on a free, you have more funds to go for someone that is a good Y10 as well. Kluivert, Yildiz, and Xavi on that list. I like Kluivert, but I don't know if he's just overperforming this year. And maybe next year his numbers aren't as good. It's one of those where he's been great this season, but is this a season where he is overperforming his XG massively? And will he naturally drop off next season? But I do like Kluivert. Yildiz looks like a good player with a lot of potential. Xavi Simons is good. I think it's tad overrated, but I would like him. I think he's very good. Another player linked to United is Trincao. He's wanted by several European clubs, including United. He has an €80 million release clause, but he will not cost that kind of money because his contract runs out in 2026. So he's actually rated about £30 million. And obviously he's linked up with Amorim before, a player that Amorim is very close with. It was said that United are determined to move forward with the signing of Trincao, who's rated at £30 million. Now, interestingly, Gay and Bailey said that City and United could go toe-to-toe for Trincao. Now, he obviously came off the bench and scored 2 goals for Portugal, making a big impact. He's obviously having a very good season in Liga Portugal and works well with Amorim. Now, I think he's quite similar to Amad Diallo in some senses, not all. So I feel like because there's talk of us not signing a right wing back and maybe Amad playing a bit more right wing back next season, maybe we bring in a 10 and push Amad back to right wing back. Maybe that would be the plan behind it. But again, look, this is international breaks. We're linked with this player, that player, this player, that player, and it's a bit like rinse and repeat. I think that I obviously report what the journalists have said, but I think it is international break, rinse and repeat, link Man United to everyone. I think half the people I will talk about, we don't actually know if United are really in for them. It's just what the journalists are saying because it's international break. Continuing on. So we've got some positive news updates coming in regards to injuries. Shaw, Mason Mount, Maguire and Maino all back in training, and Ahmed could be back sooner than expected. My video last night went into this in more detail. And then, apparently, Jadon Sancho has submitted a transfer request to his management to move to Borussia Dortmund again. Now, I couldn't find this story, I'm going to be honest with you, but I've seen like 5 or 6 aggregator accounts post this. So I haven't personally found this story, but all the aggregator accounts are posting this. So there's definitely potentially some truth in it. Build are quite reliable. But I will take it with a pinch of salt. But look, if Jadon Sancho said that it was tweeting freedom, not tweeting freedom, commenting on Marcus Rashford's Instagram post freedom, if he wants to leave Chelsea, I don't understand how that's freedom, to be honest. I'm kind of bored of talking about the Sancho situation because I think we just won't get a definitive answer through the end of the season, but it's just silly, isn't it? He's just embarrassed himself. Anyway, that is all your news rounded up in 10 minutes, people. Thank you for watching today's video. Please do go ahead and hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe if you're new. See you next time. Bye.